E signore e signori, benvenuti.
Eccoci qua, signore e signori, benvenuti, ben ritrovati in un nuovo episodio di Intervallo Podcast, l'episodio numero 13, probabilmente, forse non è detto, l'episodio conclusivo di questo 2022. Intervallo Podcast
di sì.
ha compiuto un anno qualche giorno fa e siamo felici oggi di festeggiare con questo episodio avendo con noi un ospite molto speciale. Abbiamo cominciato qualche mese fa a portare qui in questo podcast alcuni degli artisti di Project 22, uno dei progetti più rivoluzionari in ambito collezionistico di quest'anno proposto da
Proposto in tutto il mondo, con artisti da tutto il mondo, quindi non facile.
Esatto, motivo per il quale oggi siamo collegati con un ospite speciale direttamente da Bogotà. Io gli farei un forte applauso e... Ops, scena sbagliata. E benvenuto e un applauso a Orlando Arocena. Welcome Orlando, thank you for being here. How are you? Oh, sorry, you are muted, my fault. Okay, here we are.
Here we go. Hey, good to be here. What's going on? How you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Christmas is coming. The feels of holidays is coming too. We probably have a completely different. It's cold here, and actually, just quick. This summer I was in Bogota. So if I just knew earlier, that would be like something to meet up in person would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awesome, man.
Yeah,
my
we
family
do.
and I, we were in Italy as well this past summer.
Oh, so we just exchanged
we
place.
just
Yeah. So we're here with Orlando, which is Mexifunk on Instagram. It's probably it is your like artistic name, or is it just for Instagram?
No. It's my artistic name.
Okay.
So sometimes people don't know my real name. They go, "Hey, I'm Mexifunk." When they put it together, they have this whole different thing. They're like, "Wow, okay, cool. I didn't know that." But I've been using Mexifunk for many years. And I was tagged.
Oh, okay, nice. It actually sounds pretty good. So we have seen some of your work. We have seen some of the events that you participated. I like in London Car Show, if I'm not mistaken. And so we saw, other than your like other works, also the Project 22 works. So we were able to touch with our own hands, kinda. And so we assume that you are kind of a collector, or you are in the hobby for something that can be not just sport card, but just a collector. So to set the stage, I want to propose to you double choice that you have to choose one or the other, just like as quick as you can, just by gut feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, cards or memorabilia?
Memorabilia.
Vintage or modern cards?
Vintage.
Basket or soccer?
Soccer.
Maradona or Pelé?
Oh man, I gotta go Pele. Sorry.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Neither one.
Oh,
Sorry.
Who's there?
Ooh, who's there? I don't know, man. I think both of them are very good players. They're really good. I can't take that away from them. But I think when you have somebody like Messi at the end of the Mexican game, taking the flag and stepping on it, and then some of the other games, him getting a little bit too political. And, when I see that in very popular people that are supposed to be role models for the youth, I say, no good. Sorry. I don't know which camera you have, but, I don't want to throw any middle fingers up. But for that, I basically take them right off the list. I go, all your hard work is now garbage because you've shown people that you don't know how to do this.
Okay, so we're swapping that.
But for that, let's go for the Ronaldo on that.
No, but it's fine. It can be neither one. It's
he just cries too much. That's all.
Okay. And Kobe or LeBron, just to change the stage. Kobe or LeBron?
Oh, Kobe all the way. Kobe.
Oh, nice. And who's winning the World Cup?
Oh man, I'm
Like,
gonna go with the unexpected. Maybe Croatia.
ooh.
Okay.
You agree with that, Arnaldo?
But I don't know.
I,
I
I
don't
think.
know.
What do you think? I think that this World Cup has been the most exciting that we've seen in generations. Right?
Yeah.
We've seen um, unexpected results. We've seen the giants that have been
Yeah.
expected to win
From the
totally be
beginning.
knocked down. Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think that I think when you have that level of excitement, it makes for a really good, dramatic type of viewing, and I think that the teams the countries that are going to go to the final, even here with my family, we're always
Yeah.
discussing it. I think that I agree with my father-in-law. He says that it's going to be Morocco versus Croatia.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I hope to actually. It's some underdogs going to the final. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great in any
it would,
case.
it would be incredible. It would be
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
very soon.
And just to conclude, traditional art or digital one?
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough because I do both. But I'm a big fan of art history, so I love the masters. I love the traditional art. Digital art, I love what's going on right now. What I don't like is the artificial intelligence. I think that there's a whole political, controversial thing with that, which I'm not going to get into it. But let's go with traditional art.
Okay. Oh, we might get into that because we read some of your point of view about that on
Oh,
the IE art. We might just have a quick question, but yeah, we'll see. I think we set the stage, so we can begin the
Yeah.
let's say the real interview, but it's just gonna be a chill conversation. So no worry
let's
about
be
that.
chill. No
So
problem, man.
we we read a lot about you, and because you have like different. So now you're in Bogota, but you're from Mexico. If correct if I'm mistaken, but you grew up in Bronx, correct?
Yeah, no, a little bit reverse. I grew up. I lived. American born. My mother's Mexican. My father's Cuban, and we lived in the Bronx. So I grew up in the Bronx during the '70s, '80s, and around that time, I became a product of a very long and lengthy divorce where my mother was like, "Hey, let's keep on going to Mexico," and I didn't know that each time that we kept on going to Mexico, that we were staying longer and longer and longer. And I didn't realize that little by little she was trying to make us stay there with the family, not to go come back to my father. So I basically lived in both countries for a time period. But then I went. Then she decided. She said that we all cried like babies because we missed our friends and we missed our school. So we came back to the United States, and when we got back to the United States, obviously I was ready to go into high school. At that point, my mother fell in love. She found another man, and she was like, "No, we're going to stay in America. Let's stay in the United States." So it was all good.
Oh, okay, okay. And so, tell us something like about you as an artist, and if there's something to say about you as a collector.
Oof. It's tough. It's tough being both, because as an artist, you want to collect art. You want to collect statues. Like this past summer, my family and I, we went to Roma. We went to Napoli.
Yeah,
We went to quite a few places. Plus, I've been to Italy before. I have really good friends in Treviso, near Venice, right? But this time I went, and I love collecting little figurines
yeah.
of marble or of bronze, right? But this time I decided to bring back a big piece of marble.
Okay.
Carrying that through the airport
Yeah,
and through all the travels, it's like, oh, why did I buy this? Why did I buy this? I
yeah,
should have just picked up, a poster or something. But I collect many things. In my industry, since I work a lot with the entertainment and the movie, they send me stuff. They send me movies. They send me T-shirts. They send me books. They send me. I work a lot with Sideshow Collectibles, so they'll send me big limited edition statues of famous comic book
Nice.
heroes that I use them as reference, but they're limited editions. And my wife in the beginning was like, "Oh my God, where are we going to start this museum?"
Yeah.
And I had to tell them, I was like, these are limited editions. They're just not like, toys. You look at the bottom and they're hand numbered and hand signed and they come with certificates. And, I think that we all at some point tend to collect very, very unique things in our life. Some collect cars, some collect
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah,
crazy.
nice. And do you collect cards or is just something like on the side, let's say?
No, right now with this Project 22, with Tops UK, Tops Italia, Tops España, just Tops in general.
Yeah.
It's a great collaboration and it's a great invitation that they had asked many artists to be a part of this, and I'm very thankful. I went to London last month with my wife, and I got to meet the team, the Tops UK team. Very, very cool. They brought out all the cards that I had designed for so that we could sign them, get them ready for production. And it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are also artists that are from around the world. And I didn't know that they were part of this. So when I see the Tops, Instagram or Twitter, I'm like, oh wow, holy cow! My friend Dolly, he's doing a set.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. It's really exciting, and I'm glad that they just don't have one artist doing it. That it's really a global type of collection of artists.
Yeah, I just can't really imagine, but I think it's great. And among those great artists, we actually interviewed some. If you had to choose like three that you appreciate their work, their art, or their style more,
in general, yeah.
who would you pick about the Project 22 artists?
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
one.
tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough because there's some that I didn't get to know until this project to start following them, and then there's some that I've been fans almost long distance brothers, from a different mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we do things so often for so many different companies or different entertainment companies that we have to sign the contract to be quiet about. We can't mention it. But I talk to some of these people at least once or twice a week, and we don't say anything, and then boom,
Out. Yeah.
17th and Oak has a card on on Tops, and I'm like, whoa, when did you do that? Or like I mentioned Dolly, it's like, man, Dolly, I talk to you, every so often. Nobody mentioned anything, so
Yeah.
or who is it? Matt Ryan, I think is another one that's there as well.
Yeah.
There's so much really good talent that makes it really exciting. I'm glad that we're not competing with one another. You know what I mean? 'Cause then this would be like
For
the
sure.
World Cup of artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But we actually are like guiding an Italian community on that to do some information and everyone exchanging ideas. And so, because it's not cheap or actually affordable to everybody to collect the whole collection, because it's going to be huge, a lot of people, like ourselves, collect what they like and maybe some thematics. Like I really love the work of Stan Chow, which is really precise.
Stan Chow's another one.
Yeah, or a thematic. Arnaldo's collecting the women's soccer. So whatever artist, but women characters and also other stuff just that we like. Let's say Dan Lidon.
I'll keep an eye out for mine.
Yeah, we are, and
I can't tell you which female, female player it is, but there's one coming up very soon.
That's
Nice.
that's an
That's a good
information.
teaser for you.
That's
Yeah.
by the way an information.
Yeah, we always ask some spoiler, not to know like the name because it's not gonna be fun because we actually like to wait for the release day, which is today actually. So the new week came out today, and to see who's coming. But we like spoilers, so we appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I think they're gonna release her after this week. I think I have one more male player. I can't tell. You know,
Okay.
where he's from. You know, I can't even tell you the skin color of him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you know, I think there's
we do have
there's one
created.
person more than the female.
Yeah, we have created an app, a web app, to track all the Project 22 cards, separated by artist, print run, and a player, team, and other kind of thematics. So to help also the community and also to track some prices, because people maybe are not like really informed and they're just gonna get not scammed, but they could find better
Oh man,
deals. So we're just trying to help. Oh, you're sharing? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
that's
sharing.
really exciting. Right? That's really
Yeah.
exciting.
I don't know if you can.
Here you can see your page with your photos and
Nice.
all the card you did. Of course, your Instagram here and all the card you did and the print run. So every people can just go in this app and find all the artists' references, photos, and so on. So maybe if some people really like your cards, maybe in 1 year or so, you can just go here and see all the cards that you did. It's pretty.
Oh,
It's
does Tops know that you're doing this? This is awesome.
yeah, we try to reach those, but they never gave us attention. But
We are in contact with them, but they're not really. I don't know.
Tops,
What's the problem?
Tops Italia or Tops UK?
Tops Italia for now. Tops Italia.
yeah, Tops
Oh,
Italia
I think-
for
And actually,
now.
there was another question that we asked the other artists that we interviewed, but we can't at you because we were wondering, because for so many weeks of the 22 artists, only 21 came out.
Yeah,
So we were missing the 22nd artist for until last week actually.
yeah. That
Where
was
Case came out with a Lewandowski card, but
Nice.
we were hoping to see like let's say some surprise at the end of the project. There were so much speculation on our community about the missing artist. Something like Bansky came out. There was everything. Yeah, and that's fine. It's good to be part even from our side. We're
Yeah.
not actually lucky from in parallel or even the
no,
signature.
we didn't get any parallel
because-
yet.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we will wait and hope.
Yeah, we will wait.
No, it's exciting. It's very exciting because when Tops approached me, and I think that this is common for some of the other artists that are in Project 22. We don't get to select which players we want to play with. So they send us a list and they're like, okay, here's what we have. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's go with it. So I get to learn a little bit about some of the players in order to do the designs. I like to do a little bit of research. I like to learn about them because I don't get to follow football, or in America they call it soccer. I don't get to follow it as often, because I'm always busy. So when I was doing Cristo Conuco or Ansu Fati or my recent one, Samuel Eto'o, it's like, yeah, I mean that's one of my favorite ones that I've done so far. But I try to keep the series somewhat within the same family. That way, when you look at them, you can tell that it was a moment in time that was very energized, very energetic, very colorful. Right, I see a lot of the other artists. They do different styles depending upon the player, and that's awesome too. But it's not like I have a template for these. Like if you look at each one, they have the same amount of energy. It's just they have different graffiti for the name, or the logos in a different area, or the flares and the lightning is different. So they look the same, but they're not identically the same. you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Yeah.
they you can see they're from the same set slash
yeah,
artist, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're different. And
Because there are some other artists in general that are going to design the cards all the same exact way. And if we have to be honest, many people in the collecting community, especially here in Italy, they don't really like this because they really look always the same. But the
yeah,
feeling with these cards is that if it looks like a big giant graffiti wall, put it all
yeah.
together like like a
yeah, like a
and
graffiti puzzle.
yeah. And I mean this now that we are talking, I realized that graffiti maybe influenced your life because you were grown in the Bronx. And I
Yeah.
think that maybe there's always some references in the art that people don't usually get it. But if there is the opportunity to explain some details to the community, maybe they can be appreciated more. So maybe in the
Yeah,
future.
I'm always one to try to throw in a little bit of my culture, whether it's the Mexican culture, it's the Cuban culture, whether it's street culture, right? Depending upon the project. Like obviously, if a particular movie company calls me up and they're like, "Hey, we want you to do a horror movie," you know, I'm not going to throw graffiti or make it look Mexican, right? But with this tops collection, with Project 22, they're like, show us a few styles, a few variables, a few differences. And when I showed him this, I was like, this is all about energy and a little bit about street culture because a lot of the players, where do they first learn to throw? I mean, to kick a ball, right?
Yeah,
Right in the street,
yeah,
right? So I was like, I want to throw some graffiti in there. I want to make it too loud of graffiti. I want a lot of energy, but I don't want the cards to be like, hey, here's the Barcelona colors, or here's no, we're gonna put the emblem. That's good enough.
yeah,
Everything is about the player. Everything is about the combination of the artist with the player and the translation of the energy, right? Because I think a lot of these guys, you know, they explode, boom, when
yeah,
they're playing. And if there were glasses to see energy, right? Maybe you eat like an old ravioli, and maybe that makes you see
yeah,
the energy, you know. But that's what a lot of my art is, very colorful, and it has a lot of lights and it has a lot of energy, and it's all about that. And the graffiti essence of it, again, it's part street and part respect. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there something in particular that affected your, let's say, artistic style? Not for project, but in general, in your art, in your graffiti, in your work with movies or comics. Some things like maybe from your childhood or your beginning years that say, "Oh, I saw that things, and I can recall that every time I do something, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of impact from that experience or something."
I think you guys translated very well. The graffiti element of growing up in the Bronx was a big inspiration for me. Going to from the Bronx to Manhattan, you take a train, right? The subway, the metro.
Yeah,
And back then, in the 78, 79, the metro was just all graffiti everywhere. You go inside the car, the train, you go to sit down, graffiti everywhere, right? And people at the time was like, "Oh, it's so disgusting, it's so dirty, it's so ugly." Meanwhile, I look at that at the same time, right next to it, a movie poster, advertising for fashion, advertising for a sport company, right? So a lot of the advertising for commercial mixed in with graffiti at the same time, literally seeing it together, inspired me a lot. Right now, I'm in Bogota, Colombia, and in
yeah,
Bogota, Colombia, we have a lot of muralists, really talented muralists, and a lot of graffiti and a lot of advertising everywhere. So for me, it's almost as if I've returned all the way back to where the energy has started for me, right?
Yeah.
And when I have my family come visit, even when you go pick up at the airport and you drive on the highway, you see graffiti. You see old graffiti from like the 80s, faded to like new graffiti now, and seeing the different styles. For me, it's beautiful. It's harmony. It's culture. It's a timeline, right?
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting. But I was very inspired by animation, Japanese animation, comic books, history books. I mean, even the family Bible. My mother had a big Bible, right? And whenever it was filled with Caravaggio, with Renoir, with Cervantes. I mean, all these different, you know, pre-Raphaelite and medieval and even Renaissance artists, right? And not that I was like, oh my God, God is speaking to me. Yeah, No, I was looking at these compositions and the paintings, and I was looking at them just the way that I was looking at a comic book, right? Or looking
Yeah.
at a TV show or a movie. Growing up in the Bronx, my mother, she would work two jobs. So she would leave me with the neighbors and just leave me with a bunch of magic markers and paper. And the neighbor would go, is this all he needs? And she's like, that's all he needs. He's not going to bother you. He's just going to draw all day, you know? And it's true. That's what I do today. I draw all day.
By yourself or with the neighbors?
Oh, no. Right now I have a beautiful wife. She's right in the studio next door. So every now and then when I get too lost, because sometimes I fall really deep into the artwork that I'm doing. After I do all the research and I figure things out, and I come up with the composition, and the client is like, green light, go. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I put on my headphones, I put on my music, and I get lost. And sometimes it's good that she comes over and she taps me on the shoulder, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? Let's take a pause and let's chill out.
Yeah. It's been
Let's go play
40
a video
hours.
game or let's go walk out. It's like, so I love my wife for that because it's that kind of support, and then the love and everything that a good artist needs, because sometimes we get too wrapped up in our own worlds that we just don't know how to relax or even have a good time. We just we wake up and we're like robots. We go to our studio and we do whatever you got to do, and we forget that you only get one life, right?
Yeah.
This is the life that we have right now. So you don't want to just end up finding out that you're 80 years old and you're going, wow, I didn't see the world. I just saw the inside of my studio and people were paying me to sit there.
Yeah, for sure. Support is key. So we stalk you a little bit of on Instagram to see some of your different artistic projects, and we saw the post of the London car show that we with your wife. That was into that because she cosplayed also, so it's like like enjoying the environment, because sometimes you have support but it's marginal, and you go you rock, but coming to and participating in an active role, it's for sure great to see.
It was incredible because my wife, before we went to the London Comic Con, she was here and she's like, I don't know. I want to be Catwoman, maybe for one day, and then for the next day, maybe, I don't know, Black Widow. I don't know. So she got the costume, she got everything, and then we go, and she decides to be Catwoman, and she was fantastic. I'm taking pictures within the taxi on the way there, and then we get there, right? And usually, once we set up, once I'm there with my friends, and I say hello. People realize that, hey, I'm there. So people come up and like, hey, can you sign this? Can you sign that?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. And I love meeting some of the people. But this time, nobody came to me. They all came to my wife. They're like, oh my God, Catwoman. Let's take a picture of Catwoman. Get a Catwoman. And they would give me the phone. They're like, hey, take a picture. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know that I was Catwoman's agent. Yeah, okay, no problem.
That's great.
Okay.
Nice.
That's great.
So it was a good reversal, and by the end of the day, she was like, "Oh my God, this is the worst idea. I'm so tired," And I'm like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not tired. Nobody asked me any questions. It's okay.
It was a switch role for once. And I actually agree on what you said earlier about artistic, because I was it just came to my mind about the holidays in Colombia this summer. And we went, for example, at the Botero Museum. But if I go and see the picture on my phone that I've taken for memories, I do have something about the museum, but I do have a lot of picture of graffiti murales and La Candelaria and Zona Te that we
Yeah.
were roaming around because we had a friend that knew the place that's living there. And yeah, some of my, let's say, best photo, and I'm not good at all, but they are really colorful, are from graffiti and not like, let's say, conventional art or something that a 90-year-old in Italy would appreciate. Because, yeah, there's a definitely a generation gap on that people say, oh, that's just too clean, or people that say, oh, well, that's great. And yeah.
Yeah, so your words are making me cry right now because I'm like, oh my god, that's beautiful, man. Those are beautiful words.
Yeah.
You know,
kind
no,
of.
honestly, you know, I love the fact that, you know, I feel like an old man now, but like seeing graffiti when people were like getting arrested for it back in the '70s to seeing it now where, you know, you have people paying $1 million for a Bansky, or you know just seeing it in this revered altar of art, right? You know, I get into discussions a lot with different designers or different artists or illustrators about graffiti. And, you know, I credit graffiti and a lot of the writers early on to the fact that because of their exploration with typography, it's allowed us to have a very diverse sense of representing words and communication in a very stylized visual manner. You know, fonts, could be very, very boring if a lot of people from graffiti didn't bother stylizing letters in bubble form, or in angular form, or dimensional form, right? You look at a font library now, and I bet you at least have 3 or 4 different graffiti fonts that you didn't realize actually came from graffiti.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
true.
You know?
Definitely.
It's very
Arna-
interesting.
yeah, Arnaldo also is actually a graphic designer. So
Yes.
that's his job. Fonts are your job now.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I've been when I was younger, when I was like 14, 15 years old, I was a writer, a graffiti writer.
Nice.
And I used to live in a city, Bari, that was pretty famous for graffiti art in Italy in the 90s. And so this influenced me a lot. I still love doing letters and stuff like that. But I'm really amazed by I, when I realized that all your work are made in vector. Those drove me crazy. I mean, I'm like, I'm not able to do something cool like this, honestly. But maybe a work like this, I will do it in Photoshop or Procreate or something like that. But when I realized that was made in Illustrator or in Vector, I said, okay, how is possible this? How many time did you take to develop these? I mean, this style, because I've never seen anyone doing that there for you.
Oh man, yeah, um, it's part of the strategy that I'm thankful that I was paid when I was young, that I was paying attention to. You know, when back in 1997, I got my first computer. I got my first employment at a film studio for Trauma Entertainment. You know, the Toxic Avenger, and a lot of, at that time, the 3 main programs that you had to know was Quark, Express, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe Illustrator. And you would use each one together, but for different reasons, right? Photoshop, Quark Express, page layout; Photoshop to manipulate your photos, clean them up, maybe paint on them; and then Illustrator to do some text and logotipos, right? Uh, and through the experience, and having so many friends in New York City that were designers and architects and digital, wannabe digital illustrators, a lot of them were just playing with Photoshop, 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 Photoshop. And being a big, fan of art history and reading about a lot of autobiographies and biographies or just in general, just art history in itself, one thing that I realized was that if you want to stick out, you don't go where everybody else is going to play. You try to go in your own way, no matter how long it's going to take or how difficult you go in your own way, and you keep on going at it and going at it because in this other section, the Photoshop section, it's just going to keep on getting more and more people. You have over 1 million art students every year graduating from universities, and that's what they're playing with, right? Photoshop, Photoshop, Photoshop. And over here, I would say, you know what? If so many people like you, I don't like Illustrator. Oh my God, the pencil doesn't do like the Photoshop pencil, or the paintbrush doesn't do like the Photoshop paintbrush. I ended up being the guy that everybody in the agencies would go, hey, give it to Orlando. Let him do the logo thing because he's good with vectors. And it was a pain in the ass. Oh my God, it was such a pain in the ass. Oh my God, it was crazy, man. I would go crazy. I would want to break my computer, but then I realized that it's like a video game. It's like it's my favorite video game. I was like, you have different levels. You have like, the big boss at the end of one level that you have to beat up. Those are the way that I looked at it. I was like, okay, cool. I got to learn this tool, and once I master it, I go to the next level, right? And then once I realized that doing logos were pretty easy. I was like, let me see if I could paint the way that I would do my murals and the way that I would do my posters in vector. Because I used to do a lot of airbrushing, right? Obviously, from aerosol can to airbrushing. And at the time, there were some really big names that were doing vectors, but they were doing very typical vectors, flat colors, right? Very little gradients, but flat colors, right? And they're really cool looking. I don't want to take anything away from them. They're influential to me as well. But I was like, nobody's taking it to the next level. And then I started really, really just not even touching Photoshop anymore, and just Illustrator. And then in 2013, Adobe called me up and they're like, hey, we want you to be part of this big 36 artist mural for the anniversary of Creative Cloud. Can you do something? I did like some pop art deco piece of this robotic woman, very, very colorful. And then soon after that, they called me up like, hey, we want you to do the beginning splash page to Adobe Illustrator 2014. And that was big. That was big for me. That was really big. And when I went to the Adobe keynote in Los Angeles, I actually met the president of Adobe, and he shook my hand, and I had the artwork printed on my shirt, and he was like, oh, I love that piece. Are you the artist who did that? I'm like, yeah, I'm the artist. And he's like, oh my God, we've been looking at so many different types of art, digital art created by fans of Adobe, and yours, I have to tell you, like, you changed the look of vector. Like, we could put a flag in this moment right now and say, you changed the look of vector.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, okay, cool. So when you go to my socials and you see Mexican Cuban who changed the look of vector, that's not me like, hey, that's my ego, man. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a quote from the president of Adobe. You know what I mean? So it's not me like, oh yeah, I gotta congratulate myself and pat myself on the back. So it's difficult nowadays. Now I have so much fun with it that I'm trying to make sure that I don't let the computer do too much. Right? I love painting. I love doing things that I would do traditionally, but just using the computer as another tool.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do something that I can't learn from. You know what I mean? If I do something wild on the computer and I make a mistake, sometimes your mistakes are the best things that could happen to you because you learn, right? You learn what works, what doesn't work, and if you're able to recreate it, boom, you just got something different, right? But I'm not a big fan of like, hey, you press this button, you slide this here to number 50, and you tap this and you tap that, and then boom, you got something. I'm like, I like to look at it like cooking. I like to cook. me and my wife cook every day together, and I love it, right? I don't see too many people other than, say, the microwave, that you buy something already done and you boop, 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 and you cook. But you can't say that you cooked it. You can't take credit that you did it, that you chopped the onions and you mashed the pomodoro. You can't say that you created it. You could only say, well, I'm after the fact. I put it on the table. No, man, art for me is like cooking. You got to basically be there from the very beginning, to start with nothing, and then put the time in, put the research, put the soul into something that never existed, and then be like, okay, cool, I'm done.
Yeah, that's new. Yeah, the metaphor on food with Italians is always gonna work. So that's
crazy.
That's great. Why?
But did you start traditionally? For example, speaking about Project 22 cards, do you start in traditional way and then?
Whole point. Sometimes yes, and sometimes I just jump in. Sometimes I could be at the supermarket with my wife,
Okay.
and she'll look at me and she'll be like, "You're not here, are you? You're not here. Look at your eyes. You're thinking." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm thinking, and I'm sorry." And sometimes I would, do something very quick on a piece of paper, right? And then, okay, cool. And it's just scribble, just lines. But to me, I see the composition, I see what I'm going to do, right? Sometimes the project gives me so much reference material to look at. And they say, we want this face, we want this pose. When you're in that kind of collaboration where there's already a set target, for me, it's faster because I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna grab the sugar. I'm gonna grab, the parsley. It's almost like cooking for me. So I jump right into Illustrator and I start drawing, because what I like is the spontaneity, right? Working with the semi-understood, but then going so fast and moving in digital that you're focused, but yet you're allowing that spontaneous energy. I love energy to really come full blossom, to explode. Sometimes, I'll do one sketch, sometimes I'll do 10, 15, and then I send them to the client. The client's like, holy shit, what the fuck did you do, man? Did you take too much coffee or something? What happened? I love it, but there's so much to choose from. And, when I'm excited about a project, that's what happens, because then you have a good conversation with the client, because it's a collaboration. It's just not, hey, we want this, go do it. I like to work and have fun with clients and teams that enjoy it as well. It's just not like, hey, we need this by tomorrow, take care, bye. And I have a lot of questions like, hey, time out.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? How does the actor feel about this, or the player feel about that? And the more that I'm able to give them, the more that they're able to give me, the more I'm able to give them, right? So to answer your question, I do both. I start off with like some sketching, ballpoint. I hate pencils. Oh, I hate pencils, man. I hate pencils so much. I don't like to erase. I hate erasing. Oh,
yeah.
But then on digital, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but on digital, if it doesn't work, I'm Command Z, undo. So it's, it's different. But I like a lot of the sketches that I do in ballpoint, in micro.
Yeah. Same here. My teacher in university, he was from Japan, and he always said to always design with a ball pen, because the errors are not errors, but are just some more lines that help you reach the result.
Yeah, I used to be a security guard for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, right? Back in '95, before I got my computer. I was working to get a computer.
I wasn't even born.
Oh, mama.
You don't say that.
Oh, mama.
I'm from 1996, okay. So more or less.
Right on. That's no problem. That's no problem. But I used to draw. You're not supposed to be drawing when you're guarding the artwork in front of people. But sometimes they put you in a gallery away from people, and I would take out my sketchbook and then I got to go to the next post and one time I was drawing and I hear clack 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 these leather loafers on the hardwood floor behind me, and I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, ah. And I turn around and it's the president of the museum. So Mr. Montebello from Vienna, and he had a voice like Darth Vader. And he started yelling at me, and I thought I was going to lose my job. He's yelling at me. He must have had a bad day or too much coffee, but he just kept on yelling at me, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So he asked me, to see my sketchbook. So I showed it to him, and he was looking at it, and he goes, wow, this is all ink. This is all ballpoint. I'm like, yeah. He's like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't like erasing because I like to look at my sketches like I treat my life. You can't erase a mistake in life. You either have to make it work for you, or you have to accept it, learn from it, and then move on. And he's like, wow, that's pretty profound. So he's like, hey, I invite you to submit your artwork to our annual jury show. And I'm like, jury show? Is like, yeah, not everybody gets accepted. So when I worked there for 2 years, each year I submitted, and each year I got lucky enough to exhibit. So I've actually exhibited 2 pieces in my lifetime over at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
Oh,
so it's
wow.
Cool.
Wow, yeah, that's so cool.
Crazy.
I do have some curiosities that are completely unrelated. There's two.
Oh,
so
here we go.
One is Project 22 related. So do you collect yourself? Like
I have a stack, but you know what? I think that I might have to send maybe the series that I have so far signed, right? Because I have multiples. Yeah. Maybe I grabbed one series. I think of who do I have? I think I have the Kevin, I have the Cristo, I have the Anzu. I don't have the salmon, right? But I'm thinking that if I grab each of those 3, put them in an envelope with some other free stuff, and I send it to you guys to Italy, maybe you guys could add those to either your collection. Maybe the 2 of you guys, fight it out. See who gets the gift, or maybe you offer it up as in a bigger contest to your audience.
Yeah, that would be so great because we do like Arnaldo was fortunate enough to go to Monaco, and we met with Ivan Beslic. This is actually drawing by marker, so it's kind of a ball pen, and we do have one of his cards signed by him in presence. It's not gonna focus, yeah. And but we really love those kind of let's call it grails, because they're really particular, because there's something behind, like the conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah.
So we talk with Maxifunk, and then we have his card. It's a better story than just say, I was on ittops.com and I bought some cards.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let me see how many I have. Maybe I could give you guys an extra set.
Wow, it would be amazing. We also have our own card.
And
nice.
Maybe in the future you will design one of this.
Yeah.
Okay, cazzo. This is Italian.
No focus.
Yeah, that's it, man. Definitely.
Yeah, that's coming from the Marvel set of NBA cards. And,
that's dope, man. That's really cool,
we did it for our community. It's just like what's it called? A card, business card.
It's something like a business card.
It's like a business card.
Yeah.
Not much business, a lot of card though. The other...
where in Italy are you guys in?
Near Milan, in Pavia. About 20 minutes from
Milan.
there.
We're in Milan. Nice. You know what we should do, man? We should do a card for you guys, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Even a sketch.
We should find the side of a building so that the card ends up being the mural on the side of the building. You know what I mean?
That would be a kind of a dream.
Yeah, definitely.
And then every so often you get another artist, and another artist designs another card and designs the mural. You know what I mean? So that's That's pretty tight, man.
Yeah. Imagine that. It's just changing, and like there's 22 murals of ourselves in Milan.
And then we get chased by the Carabinieri and the police.
Yeah,
We get
yeah.
chased. And that's fine. We end the night with some grappa. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. If you like to eat, my father is a chef, so we can arrange something cool.
Oh, I'll tell you, we love to eat. We love to eat, but man, do I have to basically work hard to lower my weight with the carbohydrates, man. But it's all good. It's all good.
And the other one is that, like, you collaborate with a lot of, as you said earlier, you got limited edition figures, you work with movies, you work with comics and stuff. What's the coolest thing you think you like? What do you think is the coolest stuff, memorabilia, whatever that you own?
Oof, Jesus. What is it? My
Thanos
God.
gauntlet.
No, Thanos underwear. No. You know what? I'm looking around. I have art that like belongs to the museum. I have art that's totally like popular pop art. I'll tell you what. I have a lot of different animation production styles, right? The actual celluloids that they make the movie, right? I have several from Akira, right? I don't know if you're big animation fans, but Akira is a major animation and also manga, but the animation is very hard to find nowadays as far as like the collection series. I have that, and I have animation cells from Ghost in the Shell, right? I love those things.
Nice, yeah.
I have Native American art. I have Colombian art. I have Italian Roman art.
Yeah.
I have quite a lot of things. But
No,
I
nice,
think,
yeah.
I think those are things that are unique that not everybody will tell you. Hey, yeah, no, I've got like the actual production cells.
Yes.
I could freeze the movie and go, okay, cool. That's my artwork right there. That's one that I have.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, we are mainly card collector and a bit of something else, like Funko, just maybe for Harry Potter or something different. But some of our like let's say coolest stuff is the more unique, the better. Like unsigned Project 22 would be one of them. We do have some like uncut sheets of old figurines from old stickers from our generation. So it's not just came out of the factory. Is not even cut. So it's a canvas.
Yeah, it's a
So
canvas.
It's great. No.
That's dope.
Nice.
That's good.
And
what's the one of your what project in all the project that you did from movies, posters, and so on is your favorite at the moment? Because I know that favorite projects always change during the time. Maybe that's my case.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. This year, I had many opportunities to do different things for different anniversaries, right? Like I did the 40th anniversary for Mattel. You know the little cars, the Hot Wheels, the die-cast metal cars that
Sure.
people collect. I did the 40th anniversary for the Knight Rider, right? The Knight Rider car with the red eye. I did the artwork for that. That was really big. And then this year I did the 40th anniversary for Friday the 13th. I did a poster for that. I'm in the middle of doing some other anniversary stuff. It's really wild. I think that collectively, if I had to pick 3 big projects that I've done in the past, because I can't pick one, man. I'm sorry, I just can't pick one.
It's totally okay.
I think one of them would have to be obviously the Adobe 2014 Illustrator splash page, because I didn't realize that that was going to be shown around the world when everybody starts up their computer. Oh, that was amazing. I have that one. I did an official Thanos for Empire Magazine, which was then later for Marvel Studios, and right now it's hanging in the center of Kevin Feige's office in Marvel Studios in California.
Wow.
And I just finished doing something really, really important that Disney had flown me out. Disney Marvel had flown me out from Bogota to the United States to do this big interview for, and it's something I can't tell you which movie it is for, but you'll find out very soon.
Black
But
Panther.
that was very big. I did a poster. I did a movie poster for Black Panther. I did something for them as well, you know. But this upcoming thing, oh man, it's very special. I can't tell you what it's for, who it's. I
Yeah,
mean, just that it's Marvel Studios. But you'll see, and
yeah,
I
for
hope
sure.
that you enjoy the artwork. You
For
know.
sure. Yeah, we'll stay with our ears open, with our eyes open. Just a quick question in closure, so we can everyone can go watch the World Cup. What do you
Yeah.
think the impact of Project 22 is gonna have on the hobby? Because we in our community that a lot of people that weren't that into cards um, approached the hobby during COVID because they had more free time and maybe money if they were lucky enough. And
Yeah.
now Project 22 is bringing like art to the masses because you can just it's just available to everyone. And but it's changing because it's not a collection that you can get like day one, so you have to wait.
Yeah.
It's not something that
Plus,
you can buy 10 bucks off.
no. Plus, it's also time limited, right? It's only
Yeah,
available for 7 days. After 7 days, that's it. You know, everybody starts to go and sell it on eBay. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
Yeah.
you know, I think to answer your question, I think a lot of us got lucky with with our time. You know, whether they were doing it during COVID or whether they weren't. You know, I think that Project 22 is something that the company Tops is going to learn a lot from their audience. You know,
yeah,
because everybody loves to be a fanatic about what they collect. You know, and then if you add the next level, which is sports, in this occasion, right, this topic, right, even bigger fanatics, right? You have, you guys, the Italians are very fanatic about football. You know, the Mexicans, they have little baby Jesus in the green camiseta. You know what I mean? So they go to
yeah,
church before they go see it. A partido, a game, right? The Americans not so much. They're just like, hey, we just wait for the cup and we wait for the Olympics. But anyway,
yeah. But
they're,
they
they're,
have
they're,
football
they're
and
quite
baseball.
right.
Yeah, everyone has
Yeah,
their own.
they have a lot. They have their own, but I think what makes this project from Tops is that um, they've actually really, really did something special here that allows the audience to be engaged, the audience to really embrace it and look forward to like what's next, what's gonna be Project 23
Yeah,
next year. Is it going to change? Is it going to continue? Is there going to be more to offer? Is there going to be maybe like a gold Willy Wonka bar somewhere in the collection that everybody might want to collect, but there's only going to be maybe five. Who knows? But I think that it's really exciting when you have big companies or marks, right? Brands do something where their target audience and then beyond the target audience goes, wow, we want this. We're so happy to be a part of this.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much variety in this collection that you can approach everyone. That like
Yeah,
we do have people that don't collect a specific team
Yeah.
or a specific artist, just depends on the likeness. But everyone has. Oh, that's what like when today when the week came out. there's like 10, 20, 30 comments. Oh, those two are great. Nah, those two are great. Oh, the fifth one is amazing. So everyone was not in conflict, but just with their own opinion.
No.
And that was, yeah.
And
That's-
their own tastes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
that's what makes it really special. It's like there's no wrong.
Exactly.
There's no wrong to this collection, this Project 22. Everything is right. Some people like it more than others, but I haven't seen a review where somebody was like, no, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Everything's like, oh well, that's cool, but I really like this one.
Yeah.
Then the next week comes out, and it's like, oh God, I have to get this next 3 out of the 5. And I don't see that happening with any other brand with their collection right now. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I
Yeah.
agree,
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And sometimes people change because they like one, so they go back to the artist using our app, and to get the other because I think that's gonna impact for me is when an artist has the old 10 cards out, so you can see his own project, like you can see the full picture on what he imagined, on what he created, and if he has the same style, so you do have something linear. If he has completely different styles,
but for example, in our case, we are kind of, I don't want to say, but kind of influencer, because when we did the interview with Ivan Beslic, and he told us his story, his work. Then a lot of people that didn't get the first 2 cards, they run to because they, as I said before, they really understood what's behind the card, because the story makes the object even more valuable.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think that this will be this will happen with your cards too. Honestly.
Oh man, I hope so.
Honestly. And just one info, if you want to know, the one copy of your Kevin De Bruyne out of 10 was sold on eBay for something like $200, more or less.
Wow.
Yeah.
the parallel ones
incredible.
are going.
Yeah. The parallel are getting a good amount of money. So
How do you guys feel about the parallel ones? Like from not just my series, but I mean in general.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do like the fact that they exist.
Yeah.
And even if the print run is short, you do know that there's gonna be like 43 parallel, because you have the 10 signed, 10 parallel, 22, and the 101. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. It changes too little. It just is just the background color. But I think in the sports card collecting world, we are just used to that, to parallel existing and just changing a little bit of the chromatic view.
Honestly, I think that the parallel get some people and collector a little bit frustrated about the parallel, because, for example, me and Alberto, we are collecting different stuff, but we do order together. Alberto had the opportunity to have one parallel. Me, that I get something about like the double of his card, didn't get any yet. And so any week, people always write on our community, even this week, no parallel. And so it becomes, sometimes it seems that all the collecting thing is about parallel, but you really can enjoy also the base card of these. So I don't know.
I really don't care about that.
Wow. Yeah, no, I hear you, because sometimes they ask me, hey, let's see what the parallels look like.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I'm always interested to hear from collectors like you guys.
Yeah.
Which one has more weight, more importance within your collection.
The value comes from the parallel just because of its scarcity, but sometimes because you can see the parallel, or if you go over on the top's site, you always see the 101, which is golden actually. sometimes the base for me, and so everyone has their own opinion, has a better, let's say, color scheme than the parallel.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the thought process is behind the base card, I think, and then they change something that maybe wasn't anticipated by the artist, and it just changes.
Let me ask you another question. All right. Every week, how many cards get released? 5, 7?
5.
5, right? What happens if maybe next year, instead of 5, maybe it's 8, right? An even number. And in that series, you have to collect them all because on the backs, if you put them all together, it makes a little mini poster or something else. What would that do to your collection?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, but maybe
It depends on the cost.
Yeah, exactly, because Project 22 is not a cheap collection.
No.
We counted it's about 2,000 euros for the whole collection. If you're going on release day, so no secondary market.
Yeah,
no
and
parallel.
I think the problem is not the cost, but is the frequency, because every week something like 56 euros for all the 5 cards. It's big. Honestly, it's big.
Yeah, no, it's the price of collection, I guess, to a certain degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How would you guys feel if they included some type of technology, like they made it augmented reality? Every card had some type of augmented reality. So, you mentioned my Kevin De Bruyne, right? What happens if next year there's a Kevin De Bruyne, but when you hold it up to your phone, the card has a Kevin De Bruyne moving, with the ball?
Yeah.
Do you think that's too kitschy, too corny, or do you think that would be like, oh, damn, that makes for a very impactful year of collection?
I think I prefer the puzzle solution more because I just show my collection. I like to feel it. I don't really like only digital collection. Let's say NFT. We had a look into them and stuff, but so obviously in collection coming from TCG like Pokemon, Magic, that you can feel your cards. I like to have it, and so I probably forget to use the phone. Like I don't want to think about anything technological when I'm like we exchange some cards with some of the other guys in Milan, and they just I have this, I want that, you want this, so we can just swap. Wasn't any technological involved. And if you have something on the back creating another let's say another piece on your collection on top of the other, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's maybe in the future something more like experience-based would be amazing. For example, I just saw that Topps released the Jude Bellingham curated set, premium curated set, and you, of course, have the opportunity to win the golden ticket to meet Jude Bellingham, okay? Maybe it's not something like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, not something like that, but maybe if I get all 10 Orlando Arocena cards and I send him a photo, I just get a brief message.
I fly out to Milan and we end up having some pizza over in one of the piazzas over there. No problem.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's exciting. It's exciting. I have to be careful with what I say because I don't work for Topps.
Sure.
But I love coming up with ideas, and I love coming up with ideas talking to real collectors and fans like you guys, And I think that's what Topps did years before in order to do Project 22. They did their research and they got, that's why this is so successful and it's being embraced.
Definitely. And the cool thing is that one of our first episodes of this podcast was in the beginning of 2022 with Pedro Demetriou from Topps. and that designs a subset in
Tops Gold.
in Tops Deco.
Deco.
In Tops Deco, and was a kind of artist card, and it was the first time that we saw something like that, and we made him some questions about, do you think that Tops in the future will invest in some artistic card? Of course, it was super generic, and when we noticed,
maybe he didn't even know, but about
no,
like
you know, when did you delivered all the cards to Tops?
Oh, I'm still making a few now.
Yeah. Oh no.
My series isn't finished. Like,
Yeah.
I just opened up a file this morning and did
Nice.
a series of parallels. Right.
Yeah.
So, I think I have one more card to finish for my contract for this year, and then we get into next year. I think next year, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you anything about Project 22, but I told Tops, I was like, I'm really, really interested in doing Formula One. I love Formula One.
Yeah.
Not to switch completely the topic.
Yeah, we too. No. We are actually great fan and collectors of F1. It's great. We actually are in contact for something sketchy happened, but
let me know if you want me to play with you guys. I'll collaborate.
We'd love to see something, some of your work in F1 too.
Definitely.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite pilot? Who's your favorite driver? In Spanish, we call them, los pilotos.
Yeah, the driver. Of course, we are in Italy, so my art is Ferrari and Leclerc, of course.
Of course, you gotta go big red. That's fine.
Yeah.
I remember I've been a fan of Formula One for so long that people are like, "Hey, everybody's with Ferrari." I'm like, "Yeah, Ferrari."
Yeah.
But I always like to go for the underdog, so I used to go for McLaren, Mercedes, and then it all became just they separated.
Yeah.
So it's I'm a Mercedes fan, and then the Ferrari comes in. But we have so many different Ferraris, man. You got Team Red Bull that also drives a Ferrari. It's tough, man. It's very tough. And then everybody's like, "Hey, are you a big fan of the Mexican pilot, Sergio Perez?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, of course." I was in Mexico City the day before the Mexico F1, and for some reason I forgot that they were having the F1. I was so busy with family. I went to my brother-in-law lives over there, and we were in the hotel downtown, and they had set up the promotion where he was going to come in with the car. That was the day that I had to go back to Bogota, man. I was so upset. I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "No way!" But hoping that we get to play with Tops and Formula One next year. I've been dying to do the posters for Formula One. I've been dying to do the helmets.
Helmets are great.
I recently for work collaborated with Mad56, that is the designer of Alex Albon helmets, and we designed together an helmet for a kart pilot, because we worked with a kart pilot in some technology stuff, something like that. It was a pretty cool project.
Oh damn! You got to post that up sometime, man, or at least send me an email so I can take a look at it, man. That sounds really fun, bro.
Sure, definitely.
We will take on you on all of your offers.
Yeah, and the cool stuff about all this stuff about the podcast and connecting together is now that we are our company. We are currently working with Whip from France on a motion graphic video about this kart pilot.
With our company, because it is not our main job. We're with our employer.
This is our hobby. I mean.
And you see, now is that a special teaser? Is a lot of people supposed to know that, or did you just drop a bomb on everybody?
Probably no one's gonna notice. But beginning from the episode of Intervallo with Whip, then our employer decided to collaborate with them because he had a glimpse of their work, it's just something completely random that break out the networking and the new opportunities for everybody. So we love that.
Congratulations on that, man. Congratulations. Seriously, That's
Thank
really
you.
awesome.
Thank you. We really appreciate you. So last question, and not about sport, but I found this conversation really inspiring. So I just want to make one last question, a little bit more philosophical, and I will ask you, what's your message to the world?
Oh man, the message.
Yeah. Let's end in this way today.
Okay, great. Let's end it this way. So I get invited to talk, to lecture at many universities, at Adobe, for HP, Z by HP. So I get to talk to many people, and I love these opportunities. And I always end it with the story about my father. Right, my father died of cancer years ago, and he was from Cuba. He was a carpenter, and he was a fisherman. And every year, whether I was with him or whether he had to come pick me up because of the distance, the Mexico distance, we would always start the summer watching Jaws, the movie Jaws with the shark.
Yeah.
Crazy movie. That's what happens when your father's a fisherman and he loves sharks, right? So when the last few days when he was conscious during his medication, his therapy, his cancer, I went to go see him, and he was like, "Oh man, he goes, come over here, let me talk to you. I don't know what people say that when you're dying, you get prophetic and you can see the future." He goes, "Not me. I don't see the future, but I have advice for you." And I'm like, "All right, cool. What's up?" And he goes, "In this life, you gotta be like a shark." And I'm thinking maybe the medicine's going to his head, like, "Hey, you okay, man? You okay?" And he goes, "No, you gotta be like a shark. Not like the movie, not like this beast or this horrible demonic monster eating people up, but you gotta be strong like a shark. This organic element that's able to swiftly move through different waters and oceans, because the important thing about a shark is not how strong it is or how old it is. It's that in order to survive, it can only move forward. Sharks don't move backwards. So always, no matter if you make a mistake or whether you fall down, always move forward. Don't feel afraid that you have to stop and go back. So I'm always looking at things in a positive light because of this conversation with my father. So I'm always telling people, hey, be like a shark, and move forward. Move forward with integrity, moving forward with grace. God forbid if anybody does anything wrong with you, shark, they're strong, they have very pointy teeth. But in general, keeping positive and really enjoying what you do to keep moving forward.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Nothing more to add.
Yeah. I think I think it's a great closure of a great interview.
Yeah, I personally I love this conversation. I hope that you enjoyed too.
No, this was awesome. I mean, I could talk with you guys all day. I mean, right now the family and I are planning our 2023, and we're like, hey, which countries do we go back to, and do we stay longer than maybe a week or 2 weeks? And it's we already know that we're gonna spend time in England because my wife just fell in love with London, but she's in love also with Milan. So she's like, "Oh man, can we go to Milan again and maybe, rent out, an Airbnb and maybe stay for a month?" So who knows? You might have me as a neighbor for a month.
Maybe why not? It would be an honor and a pleasure for us.
Yeah,
an honor and a pleasure for
we'll
us.
go do a mural. We'll go do that mural that I mentioned.
Yeah. So we are looking forward to see all your work coming out.
Yeah, definitely.
The women in the next card that you a little spoiled us, and really thank you for your time. We'll keep in touch. We'll message you if we think about something. We'll just. We feel free to message you. You feel free to block us if we are.
Somos familia, we're like family now. So you guys can totally message me, even though we've been messaging to try to get this interview going on for maybe months now. I'm so sorry that I had traveling and I had
no problem.
We got it done.
And it was great. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Orlando, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Grazie a tutti per essere stati con noi, per aver visto questo episodio di Intervallo Podcast. Ricordate di seguirci sui nostri social. Ciao a tutti. Ciao Orlando, a presto.
Thank you.
Hey,
Bye,
ciao,
Orlando.
ciao.
The next one.